I always thought love ended with a fight. Screaming, tears, maybe a slammed door echoing through the walls. But when he left me, it wasn't like that at all. It ended quietly, like the last note of a song fading into silence. It began with distance, not the physical kind. He was still there, lying beside me, making coffee in the mornings, smiling across the dinner table. But the kind that sinks between two people, invisible but impossible to ignore. I could feel it when his laughter no longer reached his eyes, when his touch became hesitant, almost apologetic. "Are you okay?" I asked him once, as he sat on the couch staring at nothing. He blinked, smiled faintly, and said, "Yeah, just tired." Tired. That word became our shield, our excuse, our silence. I should have known better. I should have pressed harder, should have asked, "Tired of what? Tired of work? Of us? Of me?" But I didn't, because part of me already knew the answer. His phone became a secret. The kind of secret that glows in the dark when you're lying next to someone who's pretending to be asleep. I'd wake up at 2 a.m. and see that faint blue light reflecting in his eyes, and my heart would sink even before my brain caught up. Her name was Lena. He met her at work, the kind of woman who walked into a room and made people turn their heads without even trying. I met her once, before everything. She shook my hand, smiled that perfect smile, and said, "I've heard so much about you." I remember thinking she was kind. Beautiful, yes. I remember thinking she was kind. Beautiful, yes, but kind. And that made it worse. When I found out, it wasn't through texts or confessions. It was in the way he said her name. Once, casually, during dinner, Lena said the presentation went well. The way he said her name, soft, careful, made something inside me fracture. After that, I started counting the ways he slipped away. He stopped making plans for the future. He started spending more time at the office. And one evening, when I asked if he still loved me, he just looked at me, not with anger, not even with guilt, but with a kind of sadness that made my chest ache. "I don't know," he whispered. That was worse than any confession. I remember thinking she was kind. Beautiful, yes, but kind, and that made it worse. He didn't say I love her. He didn't say I don't love you. He said I don't know, and that was enough. 2 weeks later, he left. He packed a single suitcase while I stood by the window, numb. He didn't beg for forgiveness, didn't cry. He kissed my forehead like I was someone he used to know and said, "You'll be okay." That was the last lie he ever told me, because I wasn't okay. For weeks, I moved through life like a ghost. I went to work, answered emails, smiled at people who asked how I was, but inside, I was hollow. Every song, every street, every smell reminded me of him. Even silence did. At night, I'd imagine them together. Her laughter in his kitchen, her hands on his skin, her head on the pillow that used to be mine. I hated her, but more than that, I hated myself. For not being enough, for letting him go without a fight. People told me time would heal it, but time didn't heal. It just stretched the ache thinner until I almost couldn't feel it, and that was. I wasn't healed, not yet, but for the first time in months, I felt something other than grief. And somewhere, deep down, a small voice whispered, "He may have chosen her, but one day he'll understand what he gave up." I didn't know then how true that would be, because love like ours doesn't end quietly. It just waits, buried under years, under choices, under regret, until the person who walked away finally turns around and realizes they've been lost all along. And when he did, It was too late.